Hello, this is Professor Kim Nelson with the Jewelry Design Department at the Fashion Institute of Technology, doing another tutorial in our series of tutorials for JD237 3D modeling. Working on the Maurice ring project exercise. Going to read, this is actually a replacement tutorial for the one that apparently was having difficulties with sound. So, going to go ahead and rework the tutorial. It will be a little quicker in interest of time for everybody. But okay, so cleaning the file up. Whenever I am through with a flow kit, I group it together and move it to the storage bin. I won't be needing that, so also storage layer. Okay, that looks as pared down as I'm going to get it. Going to create the center section of this ring the same way I created the shank, and that is to model it flat using simple fluted surfacing and then flow it into place using flow along surface and using the target surface to modulate and shape the piece. Okay, so I would like it to match the same basic cross section of the shank, so I'm going to go ahead and use this section. Going to do an orient 2 points command. Remember, orient allows us to move, scale, rotate, and whatnot all at the same time in one transform. I want to copy, and I want it to scale 3D. It's going to ask me for 2 reference points and 2 target points. First reference, second reference, quad snap. First target, second target, and escape to get out of the command. So there I have it. I do want to put it down below the drawing, same as this one. So moving it from quad to mid. Okay. And to create my flute, I'm going to just extrude it straight. So I'll go to my right C-plane to give me a proper extrude direction. Both sides option to halfway into the cleat. That's fine. I'm going to go ahead and copy this just for scale. I'm afraid that it's going to be the wrong size. So I'm just going to double check my scale first. Take a look at this, and you can see that it is indeed wider than my drawing with the 3 flutes. So going to non-uniform scale these. Origin point 0. I'm going to not scale in this direction, so that's a 1. Going to scale in this direction, so I'll go from a mid snap to a quad. Snap this mid to that quad. Z is nothing, so just hit enter. And now I can delete these 2. Actually, had I been wise, I would have assigned history to that first extrusion. I'm not going to need it, but just to be safe, I will go ahead and do that now. I'm going to non-uniform scale this cross-section curve the same amount that I extruded, or that I non-uniform scaled the rest of those flutes, and it will be perfect. So I'm going to re-extrude with record history. Going to copy with history. Twice. Okay, this should now line up in scale, and if I move my original curve, everything should move along with me. Perfect. Okay, I need to create the flow surface or the flow kit now for this. To do that, I'm going to draw a rectangle that defines the size of this whole piece. whole assembly. So to do that, I'm going to do a polyline, project those picks to surface, so I get a nice flat rectangle on the C-plane. I'm going to offset this 1 millimeter so that my base surface is enough oversized that I have some flexibility. And I'm going to throw that curve away. So that, in theory, is a good base surface outline. Let's check it against my drawing. My drawing, I want to, I'll ungroup this first. I want to offset this 1 millimeter. And I want to offset this end point 1 millimeter. Going to do a fillet, tidy this up. Oops, that one was wrong. Okay, join these together. Okay, so there's a flat representation of my target surface and a flat representation of my base surface. I'm going to make this target surface 3D. I want to use a curve from 2 views to get that exact same top view up into position. I am going to assume that this is a little too short to do that. I will check it. Yes, you'll see it cropped the ends off because the original curve wasn't long enough here. So I'm going to lengthen that curve out with an extend curve command. Grab these 2 boxes as boundaries and extend that curve. Now, do my curve from 2 views. There we go. I can delete this now. I don't need it anymore. And turn these 2 layers off. I want to explode this and see if it's going to give me 4 surfaces. It did. Excellent. Do a bi-rail sweep. I can delete the curves now. I'm going to rebuild this. I want to have enough curves to, enough points to give me good control over this. I can't go much less than what it automatically is. It's at 26 points now. I'll take it down to 25. In fact, if I want to do any control point editing of this later, I probably want fewer than that, and it shouldn't take a whole lot of points to hold that curve. So I'm going to rethink that. I'm going to go down to 15 points. And then 15 this direction, 5 this way, so I have a center line. Check and see how much variation I got. Looks good. Okay, going to flow up my segments. With history. Now I'm probably going to want to change these eventually, so I'm going to save out this original. I'm going to group it, copy it to the Windows clipboard before sending it to the storage bin. Paste it back in. These pasted surfaces have no history, so I can go ahead and join them together into one piece. And now I'll flow them along surface with history. With history. Oh, hang on a minute. Missed a step. I didn't make my flat surface. Let's do that first. Explode these 4 curves. into 4 segments, this polycurve. Surface tools, bi-rail sweep. Delete the original curves. Check for directionality between the two. Lengthwise isocurve, lengthwise isocurve, that's good. Rebuild this to the same math. That's good. Now, with history. Flow along surface. Turn off my flow kit. Change this to a different layer, just so I can turn off the dark blue and get a good look at how this compares to my drawing. The outline looks good. Knowing that looks good, I can go ahead and delete it. And I'm going to extrude a sidewall for this. I threw away that curve when I really shouldn't have earlier. It's fine. Polycurve, project, and snap. Just getting myself a rectangle that represents this outline perfectly. Extrude both sides. I need it to extrude far enough down that I know it'll reach as far as it needs to. Now I can delete that curve, use these surfaces, this poly surface, to trim that off. Join this together and flow this along surface. I didn't use history, but I'm not going to need history. I'm checking some other things out. Okay, it's plenty long. But as we discussed in class, it also is an awkwardly straight-sided form compared to the shank. I want to have some taper to it here. So we're going to draw a straight curve. Once again using project to C-plane, so it ends up being a flat curve on the C-plane. Grab mid and quad should cover me. I want both sides. And I don't want it as steep as the shank, but I don't want it straight either. I want something in between. That's fine. I should be able to trim that off here. Let's see if I can. Nope, I lost it. Okay, fine. I'll go ahead and reverse flow this. It's going to get me some crazy distortion at the end of the day because the curve is so long compared to what I'm flowing it with. That's all right. Flow along surface. From this surface this time down to flat. There we go. Okay. I can at least trim away the top of it. There should be some, yeah, there are some strange artifacts down here. That's all right. Bring back my poly surface. See if that'll trim off the bottom for me. Yes, it did, but it trims it off too far. So I'm going to use a cutting plane. Go to my right C-plane, surface, cutting plane, grab the corner of the box, pull to the side, holding Shift key down, and trim. See if this will happen to trim away the top here. Yes, it did. Good. All right. I don't need these side boxes anymore, these side surfaces, and I don't need this at all. So I'll extract those. Use this to do an extrusion. Straight, both sides. And I'll go ahead and pull it out longer than I need it, and use the poly surface to trim away the excess. Mirror it over to the other side. Use both of these to trim off these little corner tags. Join this all together. And flow one more time. I'll use history, why not? Won't need that anymore for a while, so I will put that in storage. So there we go. I want to fillet the outside edge. 1.5 millimeters should be nice. .5 here and here. Yeah, it broke the history. That's fine. That works well. Bring back my shank and replace the finger tube. As a visual reference. Put these on the same layer. And that looks good. Thanks for watching.